Questions I get asked about After Effects. Where do I learn After Effects? I always recommend using YouTube tutorials because they're free and everyone has access to it. It's also super quick. I've never had to pay for those online courses to learn or whatever. What do you recommend I learn first? So I would say to start with getting comfortable with the interface, learning shortcuts and workflow efficiency. For example, keyframes, adding shapes and text, navigating the panels, layer organization, parent and child layers, just knowing how to add effects to things and editing those keyframes. You can also look at aescripts.com and check out plugins there. Those will help you work faster. I would not listen to anyone who's like, oh my god, learn it first in After Effects before you use a plugin. Like, fuck that. Also, if you've never worked with video before, you should learn standard video things like 1080p versus 720p, 16:9 versus 1:1, frame rate, encoding. Also, familiarizing yourself with different file formats like MP4 versus MOV with alpha channel versus WebM. I know it sounds like a fucking lot if you've never heard those before, but this will be very important when you render out your After Effects creations. As for projects to do, I would say don't just follow tutorials and call it a day. For example, don't just follow a how to make fire in After Effects tutorial and think you know everything already. I would say apply that to something you're passionate about. For example, I like watching VTubers, so I make videos and animations centered around VTuber content, and if I were to watch a fire tutorial, I can maybe take a VTuber model and make a fire scene or something, because I feel like that's the best way to like retain that info for like future projects. As an aside, consider learning design fundamentals if you plan on becoming a motion designer, whether that be learning typography, fonts, color theory, graphic design, utilizing space. Like, a motion designer should also know basic design because you can do cool effects and shit, but if you make ugly ass videos, then clients will probably go to the person who has a better grasp on making things look better. Where do I get After Effects? I always say fuck Adobe. It's always morally right to pirate After Effects until you can get a job where the company's gonna pay for your subscription. And if you don't know about that, if you use Adobe for your job, like you need it to perform your responsibilities, a company should always cover for everything that you need, and that includes Adobe. I also want to note that if you get into motion graphics, After Effects is the overwhelming gold standard. Like, if you don't know how to use that, you probably won't get hired because that's like the bare minimum you should know. So while there's other alternatives that I can't recommend because I haven't used them myself, but they are out there, After Effects is going to be the one that you should know. And like, when someone passes off a project to you and you don't know how to like edit their file, like, you're fucked. How did you get into After Effects? So this is my own personal story, I guess. I get asked this pretty often. I used to make MapleStory music videos as a teenager using Sony Vegas, and I just gradually transitioned into After Effects from there. I would do commissions as a hobby in college, and at the same time I animated Tokyo Ghoul manga panels on Tumblr because I was a fucking weeb and I just wanted to contribute to the graphics community somehow. And it helped because I was passionate about Tokyo Ghoul and After Effects, and I could learn as I did things. Eventually, I set up an ugly ass portfolio hosted on Tumblr and was hired by IGN as a designer motion graphics person as my first full-time job. Fast forward a few years, and now I am at the gaming company Nexon as a motion graphics designer and editor, and I use After Effects to make game trailers and character animations. And yeah, I didn't get a degree in anything art related, so I always recommend just being passionate about your hobbies and putting your work out there because it worked out for me. So yeah, I hope that helps.